In the heart of New York City, where skyscrapers gleamed like mirrors under the summer sun, my life as Ava Thompson was a carefully curated illusion of perfection. I lived in a sprawling penthouse overlooking Central Park, married to Ethan Brooks, a billionaire tech mogul whose name graced Forbes's lists and Manhattan's elite circles. Our love story had been the envy of many a college romance that blossomed into a power couple's empire. I'd stood by Ethan when he was a scrappy coder with big dreams, pouring my heart and my family's resources into building Brooks Enterprises from a dorm room startup to a tech giant. But beneath the glossy surface of our marriage, cracks had formed deep and irreparable, carved by betrayal. Ethan had fallen for Emily Harper, a woman whose polished charm and sultry voice turned heads at every gala. She graduated from the prestigious Manhattan Charm Academy, a finishing school for aspiring socialites where she'd honed her elegance to a fine art. Her cascading auburn hair and emerald eyes captivated Ethan. Still, I knew the truth. Her beauty was a surgeon's masterpiece, her face reconstructed to perfection, her persona a carefully crafted mask. Emily had come from humble roots in rural Ohio, a fact she buried beneath layers of designer dresses and practiced smiles. Her ambition to escape poverty drove her to reinvent herself, and Ethan, dazzled by her curated allure, was blind to her artifice. Their affair exploded across tabloids one humid July morning. Grainy photos of Emily and Ethan locked in a passionate embrace in a dimly lit car plastered every newsstand in the city. The headlines screamed, "Billionaire's secret romance with mystery socialite Ethan's solution was as cold as it was calculated. He demanded I lie to the press, claiming we'd divorced years ago, to shield Emily from the public's wrath." "Ava, it's just a story," he said, his voice clipped, his hazel eyes devoid of warmth. "Say we've been apart for ages and this all goes away." I stood in our penthouse's marble foyer, my hands trembling, my heart pounding with rage and heartbreak. Lie for him, for her. The woman who'd wormed her way into my life, stealing my husband with her fabricated charm. I refused, my voice steady, despite the storm within. "No, Ethan. I won't cover for your mistress." My refusal unleashed a media frenzy. The internet turned on Emily, branding her a homewrecker, a fake socialite who'd clawed her way into high society. Comments flooded her social media, vicious and unrelenting. "Plastic face, plastic heart. She's nothing but a gold digger." The cyberbullying was merciless, and Emily, unable to withstand the onslaught, spiraled. One night she fell from her balcony in a tragic accident, or so the reports claimed. The truth was murkier, but the public's sympathy shifted to Ethan, painting him as a grieving lover trapped by a vindictive wife, me. The worst came on the day I gave birth. Alone in our penthouse, racked with labor pains, I begged Ethan to take me to the hospital. He stood at the foot of our bed, his face a mask of indifference, his phone buzzing with messages from Emily's mourners. "You brought this on yourself, Ava," he said, his voice like ice. "You couldn't let her live in peace." I clutched my swollen belly, blood pooling beneath me, my screams echoing off the walls. He watched unmoving as I bled out, my vision fading to black. My final thought was of our unborn child lost to his cruelty. A strange warmth enveloped me as life slipped away, a whisper in the darkness. "You will have justice." That tragedy was my past life, a story of betrayal that still burns in my soul. Now I'm sharing it with you, hoping you'll join me on this journey of redemption. If this tale of heartbreak and revenge resonates with you, hit that like button, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to my channel for more chapters of my story. Your support fuels my courage to tell it all, from the ashes of my past to the fire of my rebirth. Let's dive into what came next, because I'm not the victim this time. I awoke with a gasp, my heart racing, my hands clutching a stack of divorce papers. I was back in our penthouse, the Manhattan skyline glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows. It was the day Ethan demanded we part that the tabloids first splashed Emily's scandal across their pages. I was reborn, given a second chance to right the wrongs that destroyed me. The whisper I'd heard in death, a celestial promise of justice, lingered in my mind, urging me forward. Ethan stood before me, his tailored suit crisp, his expression cold. "Sign it, Ava," he said, sliding the papers across our glass dining table. "We're done." I stared at him, memories of my past life flooding back, his betrayal, his abandonment, the blood on our bedroom floor. My fingers tightened around the papers, but I forced my face to remain calm. This time I wouldn't beg or break. This time I'd play his game and win. "Are you sure, Ethan?" I asked, my voice steady, searching his eyes for a flicker of guilt. There was no resentment, as if I were the obstacle to his happiness. My heart sank, but the whisper in my soul grew louder: justice. I would make him pay, not with tears, but with cunning. This was the beginning of my revenge, and New York City would be my stage. The Manhattan penthouse was silent except for the faint hum of the city below, a stark contrast to the chaos raging in my heart. I, Ava Thompson, sat at the sleek glass dining table, divorce papers spread before me like a battlefield map. Ethan Brooks, my husband of 10 years, loomed over me, his hazel eyes cold, his voice sharper than the skyscrapers piercing the New York skyline. "Sign it, Ava," he repeated, his tone devoid of the warmth we'd once shared in our college days at NYU, when we'd dreamed of conquering the tech world together. Now he was a billionaire CEO, and I was an obstacle to his new love, Emily Harper, the so-called socialite whose scandalous kiss with him plastered every tabloid in the city. I clutched the papers, my knuckles whitening as memories of my past life flooded back. I'd died in this very penthouse, bleeding out during childbirth, Ethan watching with indifference as I begged for help. He'd blamed me for Emily's death, claiming my refusal to lie about our marriage had driven her to despair. The pain of his betrayal, the loss of our unborn child, seared my soul. Yet here I was, reborn on this pivotal day, July 15th, 2025, the moment he'd first demanded a divorce. A faint memory lingered, a celestial whisper in the darkness of my death, promising justice, a second chance to rewrite my fate. It wasn't just a dream, but a call to action, a divine spark urging me to rise from the ashes. I lifted my gaze to Ethan, searching for any trace of the man I'd loved, the scrappy coder who'd proposed under the Brooklyn Bridge, promising forever. But his face held only disdain, his jaw tight, as he awaited my surrender. The newspaper on the table screamed mystery socialite steamy affair, with a grainy photo of Emily kissing a man I knew was Ethan. In my past life, I'd crumbled, begging him to stay blinded by love. Not this time. My heart ached, a raw wound of betrayal, but I buried it beneath a mask of calm. I couldn't let him see my pain, not yet. "Are you sure you want this divorce, Ethan?" I asked, my voice steady, probing for any hesitation. His eyes narrowed, resentment flashing like a storm cloud. "Don't make this more complicated than it needs to be," he snapped. "Sign, and we're done." His words cut, but they ignited something within me, a resolve forged in the fires of my past life's agony. I wasn't the naive Ava who'd begged for his love. I was reborn, armed with knowledge of his cruelty and Emily's deception. She wasn't just a socialite, she was a product of the Manhattan Charm Academy. Her beauty surgically crafted her charm, a calculated bid to escape her rural Ohio roots. Her ambition had seduced Ethan, but I'd use it to unravel them both. My parents' voices echoed in my mind, a memory from my past life. They'd urged me to cherish Ethan, calling him a blessing blind to his affairs because of his wealth. "He's the wealthiest man in New York," Ava, my mother, had said, her Park Avenue apartment filled with pride. "Men like him have flings. It's normal." My father, a Wall Street veteran, had nodded, insisting Ethan treated me well. Their words had kept me tethered to a loveless marriage, but now I saw through their delusion. I wouldn't repeat that mistake. Still facing them alive again in this timeline stirred a pang of longing. I pushed it aside. Emotion would weaken me. Strategy would save me. I leaned back, studying Ethan. In my past life, he'd revealed his true motives as I lay dying. "I never loved you, Ava. Your family's money built my empire." Emily was my real love, gentle understanding. Those words had crushed me, but now they fueled my resolve. I'd helped him turn Brooks Enterprises into a tech titan, sacrificing my dreams. He'd repay that debt not with love, but with ruin. "I'll sign," I said, my voice cool, "but on one condition: we split everything. 50-50 assets, company shares, all of it." Ethan's face twisted in shock, then rage. "You're being greedy," he spat, his hand slamming the table. I met his glare, unflinching. "No deal, no divorce." He paced his polished loafers, clicking on the marble floor, his mind clearly racing to protect Emily. She was his weakness, and I'd exploit it. In my past life, he'd agreed to this split, to rush to her side only to betray me further. This time I'd use those shares to dismantle his empire. "Fine," he growled, jaw clenched, half of everything. "Just sign." I picked up the pen, my hand trembling not from fear, but from the weight of my plan. As I scrawled my name, I smirked, my voice dripping with venom. "I hope you and your homewrecker enjoy your misery, Ethan." His eyes flashed with contempt, but he said nothing, already turning away his mind on Emily. I stood, the signed papers in hand, my heart pounding with triumph and sorrow. This wasn't just a divorce. It was the opening move in a chess game I'd win. Ethan thought he'd cast me aside, but he didn't know I'd seen his endgame, his cruelty, his downfall. The celestial whisper echoed justice. I'd make him pay, not with tears, but with power. With its glittering facade and cutthroat underbelly, New York City would be my battlefield. As I walked to the penthouse elevator, the skyline sprawling before me, I felt the weight of my past life lift. This was my rebirth, and Ethan Brooks would rue the day he betrayed Ava Thompson. The elevator doors slid shut, sealing me from Ethan Brooks's cold dismissal in our Manhattan penthouse. Ava Thompson stood alone, the divorce papers crumpled in my hand, their ink still fresh with the promise of my revenge. The New York City skyline glittered beyond the glass, a dazzling facade mirrored the life I'd once led, beautiful on the surface, hollow beneath. My reflection stared back, a woman reborn, yet haunted by memories of a past life that refused to fade. The celestial whisper that had greeted me in death, a promise of justice, echoed in my mind, urging me to move forward. But first, I had to face the ghosts of my past, the pain that fueled my resolve. As the elevator descended, I leaned against the cool metal wall, my breath uneven. In my past life, Ethan's betrayal had been a slow poison. I'd poured my heart into Brooks Enterprises, sacrificing my ambitions to turn his college coding project into a tech empire. My family's wealth and my father's Wall Street connections paved his path to billions. Yet he'd discarded me for Emily Harper, a woman whose charm was as artificial as the skyline's glow. Her rural Ohio roots had driven her to the Manhattan Charm Academy, where she'd sculpted herself into a socialite, her face remade by surgeons, her ambition a relentless hunger for status. I'd seen through her, but Ethan hadn't blinded by her curated allure. The memory of my final moments hit like a tidal wave. I'd died in that penthouse, bleeding out during childbirth, Ethan's indifference a blade sharper than any knife. "You caused this, Ava," he'd spat, blaming me for Emily's death, as if my refusal to lie had pushed her off that balcony. The worst was his final act, strangling me, tearing our unborn child from my body, his hands stained with my blood. The pain, the betrayal had seared my soul, yet I'd clung to love, asking if he'd ever cared. His answer had crushed me. "I never loved you. Your money was sound. Emily was my true love." Those words now burned in my chest, not with sorrow but rage. I stepped into the penthouse lobby, the doorman's nod a faint comfort. My parents' voices haunted me, their words from that past life echoing Ethan's a blessing, Ava. "Men like him have affairs. It's normal." They'd sat in their Upper East Side mansion sipping wine, blind to his cruelty because of his wealth. My mother's pride, my father's pragmatism, had chained me to a marriage that killed me. Now alive again, I longed to see and feel their warmth, but I feared their judgment. Would they still defend Ethan, dazzled by his billions? The thought twisted my heart, a mix of love and dread. I pushed it down. I couldn't afford weakness, not now. In the cab to my family's estate, I stared at the city's neon pulse, my mind racing. Revenge wasn't enough. I needed to heal, to reclaim the Ava who'd dreamed of more than being Ethan's wife. The celestial whisper had given me this chance, but it demanded strength. I couldn't repeat my past life's mistakes, begging for love that didn't exist. Ethan had used me, and Emily had exploited his weakness. She wasn't just a socialite, she was a predator, her ambition cloaked in soft smiles. I'd make them both pay, but not with impulsiveness. Every move had to be calculated, and it was a chess game where I'd checkmate them both. The cab pulled up to the Davis estate, a grand brownstone draped in ivy. My parents stood at the door, alive and vibrant, a sight that nearly broke me. My mother's eyes widened, her hand flying to her mouth. "Ava, what's wrong?" I collapsed into her arms, the divorce papers slipping to the ground. "I left Ethan." I whispered, my voice hoarse. My father's face darkened, his fists clenching. "That ungrateful bastard," he growled, already guessing the truth. The city buzzed around us, but their love grounded me in that moment. Yet I hid my rebirth, my plans. They wouldn't understand, not yet. In my childhood bedroom, I sat on the edge of the bed, the city's hum, a distant lullaby. I opened my laptop, staring at a photo of Ethan and me from our NYU days laughing under the Brooklyn Bridge. My heart ached for that lost innocence, but I steeled myself. I posted the photo on social media and captioned it, "Forever, my love." Comments flooded in. "Such a perfect couple, Ava and Ethan are goals." Each like was a brick in the facade. I'd build a devoted wife betrayed. Emily would see it, Ethan too, and they'd underestimate me. The pain of my past life lingered, but so did the whisper of justice. I'd dismantle their world piece by piece and find myself in the ruins. The morning sun cast long shadows across the Upper East Side, the city waking to its relentless rhythm. Ava Thompson stood in the marble foyer of our Manhattan penthouse facing Ethan Brooks for what I swore would be the last time as his wife. The divorce papers lay on the glass dining table, a silent challenge between us. Ethan's tailored suit was impeccable, but his hazel eyes burned with impatience, his jaw tight as he waited for me to crumble. In my past life, I had begging, crying, clinging to a love that was a lie. But now, reborn with the scars of betrayal and a celestial whisper of justice in my heart, I was a different woman. Today I'd play his game and win. Ethan slid the papers closer, his voice cold as the city's winter winds. Sign Ava. Let's end this cleanly. The newspaper beside him screamed of his affair with Emily Harper, her lips locked with his in a grainy photo. The headline billionaire's secret fling was a public wound, yet he acted as if I were the inconvenience. Memories of my past life flashed his indifference as I bled out his cruel words blaming me for Emily's death. I never loved you, he'd said, admitting he'd used my family's wealth to build Brooks Enterprises. Those words fueled me now, not with tears, but with a cold, burning resolve. I met his gaze, my voice steady despite the storm within. Are you sure, Ethan? This is what you want? I searched his face for a flicker of guilt, a trace of the man who'd proposed under the Brooklyn Bridge, promising forever. But his eyes held only resentment, as if my existence offended him. Don't drag this out, he snapped, his hand brushing the papers. You're wasting my time. His words stung, but they also clarified my path. With her surgically crafted beauty and Manhattan Charm Academy polish, Emily had him under her spell. Her ambition to escape her rural Ohio past had made her a master manipulator, and Ethan was her pawn. I'd use that against them both. I'll sign, I said, pausing for effect, but on one condition: we split everything, 50-50 assets, company shares, all of it. Ethan's face contorted, shock giving way to fury. You're out of your mind, he spat, his hand slamming the table, rattling the glass. Half of Brooks Enterprises. You're nothing without me. His arrogance was almost laughable, but I held my ground, my heart pounding with fear and triumph. In my past life, he'd agreed to the split, to rush to Emily's side only to betray me further. This time, those shares would be my weapon, a stake in the empire I'd helped build from our NYU dorm room. You want Emily, don't you? I said, my voice low-cutting. Half is the price. Ethan paced his loafers, clicking on the marble floor, his mind clearly racing. Emily was his weakness, her ambition cloaked in soft smiles, and she was a drug he couldn't quit. In my past life, he'd confessed she was his true love, gentle and understanding, unlike me. Now I saw her for what she was, a predator who'd targeted Ethan's wealth and ego. Fine, he growled, his jaw clenched so tight I thought it might crack half of everything. Just sign and get out. His contempt was palpable, but it only sharpened my focus. I picked up the pen, my hand trembling not from fear, but from the weight of what came next. As I scrawled my signature, I looked up, my lips curling into a smirk. I hope you and your homewrecker enjoy your misery, Ethan. His eyes flashed with disgust, but he said nothing, already turning away his mind on Emily. I stood, the signed papers in hand, my heart a battlefield of pain and power. This wasn't just a divorce. It was the opening gambit in a war I'd win. Brooks Enterprises, built with my sweat and my family's money, would be my leverage. Ethan thought he'd discarded me, but he didn't know I'd seen his endgame, his cruelty, his downfall. As I stepped into the elevator, the penthouse fading behind me, I felt the city's pulse sync with mine. New York was a place of reinvention, and I was no longer the naive wife who'd begged for love. The celestial whisper echoed justice. I'd dismantle Ethan's world, starting with the shares he reluctantly gave me. Emily thought she'd won moving into my home, wearing my life like a stolen gown. But I'd show them both what a woman scorned could do. The elevator doors opened to the lobby, and I walked out, the skyline sprawling. This was my stage, and Ethan Brooks would learn the cost of betraying Ava Thompson. My parents' Upper East Side mansion. The Thompsons stood like a fortress of old money, its ivy-draped brownstone a stark contrast to the sleek Manhattan penthouse I'd just left behind. Ava Thompson stepped out of the cab, the divorce papers tucked into my purse, their weight a reminder of the war I'd begun. The New York City night buzzed with energy taxis, honking streetlights, casting long shadows, but inside me a storm raged. Ethan Brooks, my husband of a decade, had discarded me for Emily Harper, a socialite whose ambition had clawed her from rural Ohio to Manhattan's elite circles. Reborn with memories of my past life's betrayal. I was no longer the naive wife who'd begged for his love. The celestial whisper that had greeted me in death, promising justice, urged me forward, but my heart wavered between vengeance and the ache to heal. Inside my mother's arms enveloped me, her lavender perfume, a fleeting comfort. "Ava, what happened?" she asked, her eyes wide with shock. My father, a Wall Street titan, stood behind her, his face darkening as I whispered, "I left Ethan." The words felt like a confession, raw and heavy. "That ungrateful bastard," my father growled, his fists clenching. In my past life, they'd defended Ethan, dazzled by his billions, urging me to tolerate his affairs. Their love grounded me, but I hid my rebirth and plans. They wouldn't understand the fire that burned within me, not yet. In my childhood bedroom, surrounded by faded posters from my NYU days, I sat on the bed, the city's hum, a distant lullaby. The pain of Ethan's betrayal lingered, his cold dismissal, his devotion to Emily, who'd used her charm school polish to seduce him. Her surgically enhanced beauty and calculated smiles had masked her hunger for status, a truth I'd seen, but he hadn't. I opened my laptop, my fingers trembling as I scrolled through photos of Ethan and me laughing at a Coney Island fair, kissing under the Brooklyn Bridge. Each image was a dagger to my heart, a reminder of the love I'd lost. But I wasn't here to mourn, I was here to win. I posted a photo on social media, one from our college years, Ethan's arm around me, his smile genuine. "Every moment with my love feels like forever." I captioned it, and my words are a calculated lie. Comments flooded in within minutes. "You and Ethan are couple goals. True love lasts." Each heart emoji was a brick in the facade I'd build, a devoted wife betrayed by a heartless husband. Ethan would see it, Emily too, and they'd underestimate me, blind to the trap I was setting. In my past life, I'd been too weak to fight back, clinging to a marriage that killed me. This time, I'd use their arrogance against them. My phone buzzed, a private message from an account I knew was Emily's alt. A photo loaded her lying in my old bed in the penthouse, wearing my silk nightgown, a face mask framing her smug smile. "I've moved into your room, Ava. Stop lying to yourself," she wrote. Fury surged, but I forced it down. Emily thought she'd won, parading her victory like a trophy. Her ambition had driven her to this, stealing my life to escape her past. But she didn't know I was playing a longer game. I ignored her message, posting another photo, Ethan and me at a Central Park picnic, my head on his shoulder. Grateful for him every day, I wrote the lie, bitter but necessary. Over the next few days, I posted 3 times daily, each image a curated memory of our perfect marriage. A dinner at the plaza, a stroll through Soho, each post painted me as a hopeless romantic, devoted to a man who'd betrayed me. The internet ate it up, comments pouring in. "Ava, you're so lucky, Ethan's a dream." I read them in the quiet of my room, my heart a battlefield of grief and resolve. Each post was a step toward dismantling Ethan and Emily's world, but it forced me to face my pain. Honestly, I'd loved him once, and that love had cost me everything. The celestial whisper echoed justice. I couldn't falter now. My mother knocked softly, her face etched with concern. "Ava, you're so quiet. Are you okay?" I forced a smile, hiding the war within. "I will be Mom." She didn't know I'd died in my past life, didn't know I'd seen Ethan's true face, his hands stained with my blood, his voice blaming me for Emily's fall. I couldn't tell her, not yet. But as I closed my laptop, the city's lights twinkling beyond my window, I felt hope. New York was a city of reinvention, and I was rewriting my story. Ethan and Emily thought they'd won, but this was just the beginning. My posts were bait, and soon they'd take it, stepping into the trap I'd set with a smile. The glass tower of Brooks Enterprises loomed over Midtown Manhattan, its sleek facade a testament to the empire Ava Thompson had helped build. Clutching my copy of the divorce agreement, granting me 50% of the company's shares, I stepped into the lobby, the click of my heels echoing on marble. Reborn with memories of my past life's betrayal, I was no longer the silent partner who'd supported Ethan Brooks' rise. The celestial whisper that had promised justice in my dying moments fueled me now, but my heart wavered, torn between vengeance and the quiet ache to reclaim my worth. Today I'd stake my claim in the company I'd shaped, setting the stage for Ethan and Emily Harper's downfall. The office buzzed with whispers as I walked in, employees' eyes darting to me, their disdain unmasked. They'd been charmed by Emily, who'd spent weeks buying their loyalty with coffee runs and designer cupcakes. "Why's she here?" a secretary muttered. Ethan's with Emily now. I'd avoided this place in my past life, letting Ethan control the narrative. Not anymore. I strode to the executive floor, my divorce agreement a shield. I was vice president now by right of the shares I'd demanded. Ethan couldn't stop me unless he wanted a legal war he'd lose. In the boardroom, Ethan stood at the head, his tailored suit crisp, his face a mask of irritation as I entered. Ava, what are you doing here? He snapped, his voice cutting through the room's hum. Employees froze their stares, a mix of pity and scorn. I said this is my company too, holding up the agreement, my voice steady despite my heart racing. I own half. I'm here to stay. Ethan's jaw tightened, his hazel eyes flashing with fury. You're making a fool of yourself, he growled. Get out. But I didn't flinch. In my past life, he'd dismissed me as a prop, useful only for my family's money. Now I'd make him face the partner he'd betrayed. The room fell silent tension, thick as the city's smog. Then a secretary, Emily's closest ally, stormed forward, her face twisted with indignation. You're divorced, she spat, shoving me. You have no shame causing trouble here. Rage flared, and I slapped her hard, the sound echoing. This is my company, I said coldly. Please speak to me like that again, and you're fired. Her eyes widened, her cheek reddening, but she backed off, stunned. Ethan roared, Enough, Ava. Stop this nonsense. But the agreement in my hand was ironclad, and he knew it. He stormed out, leaving whispers in his wake. Minutes later, Emily Harper strutted in a tray of artisanal coffees in hand, her smile as polished as her Manhattan Charm Academy training. Her auburn hair gleamed her dress, hugging her surgically enhanced figure, a facade built to escape her Ohio past. Ava, I brought you a latte, she said, her voice saccharine, her eyes glinting with provocation. I heard you're working hard. Her presence made my skin crawl, but I played along, taking the coffee with a smile. How thoughtful, Emily. She tilted her head, feigning innocence. Are you mad at me? Ethan and I were clean before your divorce, I swear. Her lie was a challenge, and I was ready. I set my phone on the desk, discreetly hitting record. I said, Not mad at all, Emily, my voice soft but sharp. I built this company with Ethan, but he says you're his true love. And since you're pregnant, I stepped aside. Her face froze, her coffee tray trembling. In my past life, Ethan had revealed her pregnancy before my death, blaming me for their unborn child's loss. Now I'd turned her secret against her. Pregnant, she stammered, her composure cracking. Who told you that? I smiled, leaning closer. I know more than you think. I let Ethan go for you. Isn't that what you wanted? Emily's eyes darted, her ambition exposed. She'd climbed into my life to secure her status, but my words had thrown her off balance. I should go, she mumbled, hurrying out, her tray forgotten. I stopped the recording, and a weapon is now in my arsenal. The office buzzed with gossip, employees whispering about my confrontation. I ignored them, my heart pounding with triumph and pain. I'd loved Ethan once and helped him build this empire from our NYU days. Now they saw me as the scorned ex-wife, but I was more reborn, relentless. The skyline loomed beyond the windows, a reminder of the stakes. Emily thought she'd won, but I'd just moved my queen into position. The Brooks Enterprises tower stood like a glass monolith in Midtown Manhattan, its reflective surface mirroring the relentless pulse of New York City. Ava Thompson, sat in my newly claimed office, the vice president's suite, its sleek desk and floor-to-ceiling windows, a testament to the empire I'd helped build. Reborn with memories of my past life's betrayal. Ethan Brooks's cold abandonment, his devotion to Emily Harper. I was no longer the silent partner who'd sacrificed her dreams for his. The celestial whisper that had promised justice in my dying moments burned in my chest, but my heart wavered between vengeance and the quiet hope of rediscovering my worth. Today, I'd ally to shift the board in my favor, a move to topple Ethan's world. The office buzzed with whispers, employees still reeling from my confrontation with Emily yesterday. Her recorded admission of pregnancy, a secret from my past life, was a weapon I'd wield later. For now, my focus was on Noah Carter, a brilliant programmer buried in the company's lower ranks. In my past life, he'd resigned within a week, launching a tech startup that rivaled Brooks Enterprises within months. I'd seen his potential, then ignored by Ethan's ego. I'd secure him before he slipped away, turning his talent into my greatest asset. I summoned Noah to my office, the intercom's beep cutting through the hum of keyboards. He entered, his lanky frame clad in a simple button-down and slacks, glasses perched on his nose, his dark eyes sharp with quiet intelligence. Vice President Thompson, did you want to see me? His voice was calm, almost indifferent, but I sensed the weariness of a man overlooked. I leaned forward, my hands clasped on the desk. Noah, I know they're suppressing you here. Ethan doesn't see your worth, but I do, his brow furrowed, suspicion flickering. What are you proposing? In my past life, Noah had been a footnote in Ethan's empire, and his ideas were dismissed until he built his own. I'd admired him from afar, regretting I hadn't acted sooner. Now, Reborn, I had a chance to rewrite that story. I'm leaving Brooks Enterprises, I said, my voice steady. I divorced Ethan and took half his assets. I have money. Noah and I want to invest in you. $5 million to start your own company. His eyes widened, his composure cracking. You're serious? You don't even know me. I know enough, I replied, meeting his gaze. I've seen your work, your code for the payment system, your AI prototype. Ethan buried them, but I won't. I trust you. My sincerity surprised me, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through my guarded heart. Noah hesitated, his fingers adjusting his glasses. Why me? You could hire anyone. I smiled, a rare warmth softening my resolve. Because you're the best, Noah, and I'm done betting on the wrong people. His skepticism softened, replaced by a spark of gratitude. In my past life, I'd poured everything into Ethan, blind to his betrayal. I saw Noah clearly a man whose loyalty and talent could change the game. I'm resigning soon, he admitted, his voice low. I've got ideas, but no capital. I leaned closer, my heart pounding with the weight of this moment. I'll be your first investor. Build your vision, Noah. I believe in you. His eyes flickered with uncertainty, then resolve. All right, Miss Thompson, I won't let you down. We shook hands, his grip firm, a silent pact sealed. For the first time since my rebirth, I felt a spark of hope, not just for revenge, but something new. Noah wasn't just an ally. He reminded me that I could choose who to trust, who to lift. As he left, I glanced at the city skyline, the Empire State Building piercing the horizon. Ethan thought he'd discarded me, but I was building a new empire where he'd have no place. Emily's smug face flashed in my mind, her ambition to steal my life, her pregnancy a secret she thought safe. I'd use that recording soon, but Noah was my move for now, and the board was tilting in my favor. The sun dipped below Manhattan's skyline, casting an orange glow over the Brooks Enterprises tower. Ava Thompson stepped out of my office, my mind buzzing with the triumph of my alliance with Noah Carter. As vice president wielding 50% of the company's shares, I'd shaken the foundation of Ethan Brooks's empire, my ex-husband who'd betrayed me for Emily Harper. Reborn with memories of my past life's horrors. Ethan's indifference as I died in childbirth. His devotion to Emily's ambition, a celestial whisper of justice, drove me. Yet my heart ached, torn between vengeance and the fragile hope of healing. Humming a tune, I headed to the underground parking garage, unaware of the danger lurking in the shadows. The garage was a cavern of concrete and flickering lights, the hum of the city muffled above. My heels echoed as I approached my car, the divorce agreement and Noah's handshake fueling my confidence. I'd secured a brilliant ally, a man whose tech genius would rival Ethan's empire. But as I reached for my keys, a figure emerged from the darkness. A masked man, his eyes glinting with malice, a knife gleaming in his hand. Before I could react, he lunged the blade, slicing into my side. Pain exploded, a searing fire that stole my breath. Memories of my past life flashed, Ethan's hands around my throat, my blood pooling, and panic surged. Not again, I wouldn't die again. Instinct kicked in. Gritting my teeth, I shoved him with all my strength, the knife tearing free as he stumbled. Help! I screamed, my voice echoing through the empty garage. Blood soaked my blouse, my legs trembling, but I ran, adrenaline drowning the pain. Footsteps pounded behind me, the attacker closing in. Then a familiar voice cut through the chaos. Stop, Noah! Carter shouted, his silhouette appearing at the garage entrance. The masked man froze, then bolted, disappearing into the shadows. My vision blurred, my body swaying, but Noah's strong arms caught me, lifting me off the cold concrete. Hang on, Ava, he said, his voice tense. My consciousness faded, the city's pulse fading with it. I awoke in a hospital bed at Mount Sinai, pain radiating from my bandaged side, the sterile scent of antiseptic grounding me. Noah sat beside me, his glasses slightly askew, his face etched with worry. You're awake, he said, relief softening his voice. The police caught the guy, a disgruntled ex-employee fired last month. He confessed that Emily hired him to scare you. My blood ran cold. Emily, driven by her ambition to secure her place as Ethan's partner, had crossed a line. Her Ohio roots had fueled her climb, but her jealousy of my power had turned her vicious. "She's terrified of you," Noah added, his eyes meeting mine. "You're a threat she can't control." I nodded, wincing as pain flared. In my past life, Emily's schemes had gone unchecked, her pregnancy a secret Ethan used to justify his cruelty. Now I'd survived her attack, and Noah's presence, a quiet strength I hadn't expected, stirred something in me. We'd shared coffee breaks, late-night talks about code and dreams, building a trust I hadn't felt since my NYU days with Ethan. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice hoarse. Noah's ears reddened, and his shy smile contrasted with his fierce intervention. "I couldn't let you get hurt," he said. Ethan's arrival shattered the moment. He stormed into the room, his suit rumpled, his face twisted angrily. "You staged this, didn't you?" he spat, grabbing my arm, his grip tearing at my bandages. Blood seeped through, pain lancing my side. "You're trying to get my sympathy," I gritted my teeth, fury drowning my fear. "You think I'd stab myself for you?" I snapped, my voice raw. "Someone tried to kill me, Ethan!" He sneered, his loyalty to Emily unwavering. "You met with Noah today, didn't you? You paid him to fake this." His accusations were a desperate attempt to protect his perfect image of Emily, the woman he'd chosen over me. Noah stepped forward, his voice steady. "The police have the attacker, Mr. Brooks. Emily's behind it. I'm heading to the station to give my statement." Ethan's face paled, a flicker of guilt vanishing as quickly as it came. He released me, storming out without a word, his mind already on Emily. I sank back, sweat beading on my brow, the hatred in my chest burning brighter. Ethan's blindness, Emily's desperation, they'd pay for this. The city skyline glowed beyond the hospital window, a reminder of the stakes. I'd survived thanks to Noah, and now I'd strike back harder. Emily's attack had only sharpened my resolve, and New York would see her fall. The sterile glow of Mount Sinai Hospital's lights cast shadows across my room, where Ava Thompson lay recovering from a knife wound inflicted by a thug hired by Emily Harper. The pain in my side was a dull throb, but it paled against the fire of vengeance burning in my chest. Reborn with memories of my past life, Ethan Brooks' betrayal, his cold indifference as I died in childbirth, I was no longer the naive wife who'd built his empire. The celestial whisper that had promised justice in my final moments drove me forward, yet my heart ached, torn between hatred and the fragile hope of healing. Ethan's hospital visit, accusing me of staging the attack, had only sharpened my resolve. It was time to strike back, turning the tide against him and Emily, with a plan that would shake New York City. Noah Carter, my newfound ally, had saved me in the parking garage, his quiet strength contrasting with Ethan's cruelty. His revelation that Emily had hired the attacker out of jealousy confirmed her desperation to secure her place as Ethan's partner. Her ambition, born from a hardscrabble Ohio childhood, had driven her to the Manhattan Charm Academy, where she'd crafted a persona to climb Manhattan's social ladder. But my presence, my 50% stake in Brooks Enterprises, threatened her carefully curated world. I'd recorded her flustered admission of pregnancy in my office, a secret from my past life that would now be my weapon. At my parents' Upper East Side mansion, I sat with my father, Richard Thompson, a Wall Street veteran whose connections rival Ethan's wealth. The city's skyline glittered beyond the brownstone's windows, a reminder of the stakes. "Dad, I want to sell my shares," I said, my voice steady despite the pain of my bandages, to Laura Mitchell at Titan Tech. Laura, a fierce CEO who'd clashed with Ethan for years, was his greatest rival. Her company was a rising star in the tech world. Her innovative platforms nearly toppled Brooks Enterprises in my past life. Now I'd hand her the keys to Ethan's downfall. My father's eyes darkened, his silence heavy. "You're sure, Ava? This is war." I nodded, my heart pounding. "He betrayed me, Dad. I'm done paving his way." He arranged the sale within days, and my 50% stake in Brooks Enterprises transferred to Titan Tech for a fortune. Ethan had no idea, still smug in his Midtown tower, thinking my injury had sidelined me. I turned to my next move, the recording of Emily. Logging into my social media from my childhood bedroom, I uploaded the audio, her voice clear, pregnant who told you, that my caption was simple. The truth about Emily Harper, the homewrecker who tried to erase me. I paired it with a staged photo from a paparazzi contact, a pale, frail Ava in a hospital bed looking broken. The internet erupted within hours, and hashtags like #EmilyHarperHomewrecker were trending across New York and beyond. Comments flooded in, vicious and unrelenting. "She's a fake socialite. Ava deserves better." The city's gossip machine buzzed with outrage from Soho cafes to Wall Street bars. Emily's carefully crafted image built to escape her Ohio roots crumbled. Her pregnancy exposed before she could spin it painted her as the other woman, not Ethan's victim. I watched the chaos unfold from my laptop, my heart a battlefield of triumph and sorrow. I'd loved Ethan once and poured my soul into our NYU dreams. Now I was dismantling his world, but each step forced me to face my own pain. Had I been enough? Could I heal beyond this hatred? My mother entered, her face etched with worry. Ava, this is dangerous. What if Ethan retaliates? I squeezed her hand, hiding the depth of my plan. He won't touch us, Mom. I'm making sure of it. The celestial whisper echoed justice. I'd survived Emily's attack thanks to Noah, whose quiet loyalty had surprised me. Our late-night talks about code and dreams, shared over coffee in the office, had built a trust I hadn't expected. He was more than an ally. He reminded me I could choose who to stand with. As the city's lights twinkled outside, I knew this was just the beginning. Ethan and Emily thought they'd won, but I'd turned the tide, and New York would see their fall. The New York City skyline glowed like a beacon of ambition, its lights reflecting the chaos Ava Thompson had unleashed. From my parents' Upper East Side mansion, I watched the internet tear Emily Harper apart, my uploaded recording of her pregnancy admission fueling a firestorm. Reborn with memories of my past life, Ethan Brooks's betrayal. His hands stained with my blood as I died, I was no longer the woman who'd begged for his love. The celestial whisper of justice that had greeted me in death drove me now, but my heart wavered, caught between vengeance and the quiet hope of rebuilding myself. Emily's attack on me, hiring a thug to scare me, had backfired, and now her carefully crafted world was unraveling. The media storm was relentless. Tabloids screamed Emily Harper, homewrecker exposed, while social media branded her a fraud who'd clawed her way from rural Ohio to Manhattan's elite. Her ambition, forged in a childhood of scraping by, had led her to the Manhattan Charm Academy, where she'd remade herself with surgical precision and polished charm. But my recording had stripped her bare, her pregnancy unknown, even to Ethan proof of her betrayal before our divorce. Comments flooded her profiles. Shameless mistress, fake face, fake heart. The city's gossip from Tribeca, lofts to Wall Street offices buzzed with her downfall. Ethan tried to stem the tide, stating Brooks Enterprises' Midtown Tower. Emily did not interfere in my marriage. Ava and I were estranged before the divorce, but the public wasn't buying it. Emily went live on social media, tears streaming down her face, her voice trembling. I never ruined a marriage. Ethan pursued me after they separated. Please believe me. Her performance honed by charm school swayed some, but my recording was ironclad. The tide turned again, and hashtags like #JusticeForAva were trending. I watched from my bedroom, my laptop glowing, my heart mixed with triumph and exhaustion. Each hateful comment was a victory, but it reminded me of my own pain loving a man who'd chosen her. My father burst in his face, grim. Ava Titan Tech just announced they acquired your shares. Ethan's out as chairman. Laura Mitchell, Titan Tech's cunning CEO, had struck using my 50% stake to seize control of Brooks Enterprises. In my past life, Laura had been Ethan's nemesis, her innovative apps challenging his empire. Now I'd handed her the weapon to topple him. Ethan was scrambling, unaware I'd orchestrated this from my hospital bed. My mother hugged me, tears in her eyes. You're free now, Ava. Let it go. But I couldn't not yet. Emily's attack had nearly killed me, and Ethan's blindness had enabled her. They'd pay fully. Then Emily arrived at the mansion, dragging 2 colleagues from Brooks Enterprises, their faces dripping with judgment. She stood in the foyer, her auburn hair disheveled, her makeup smudged from crying. Ava, how could you destroy Ethan's company? She sobbed, her voice a practiced plea. I never meant to ruin your marriage. Go back to him, please, her colleagues chimed in. You're so bitter, sabotaging his empire. Ethan gave you half his wealth, and this is how you repay him. Their words stung, but I saw through Emily's act. She was playing the martyr, her ambition to secure her status, now a desperate bid to salvage her image. I laughed, sharp and cold, stepping closer. You're the homewrecker, Emily. I gave Ethan to you, yet you sent a thug to scare me. Her face paled, her colleagues faltering. You claim to be kind, but a fraud who couldn't even get into college. Your Ohio family must be so proud of their daughter, a mistress. Emily's eyes widened, her composure shattering. She lunged, claws out, but I slapped her hard, the sound echoing. Her cheek reddened, her colleagues gasping. You think you can play the victim, I sneered. By tomorrow, New York will know precisely who you are. Emily fled, sobbing, her colleagues trailing her. I stood in the foyer, my heart pounding with triumph and pain. I'd loved Ethan, built his empire only to be discarded for her. Her ambition had ruined her, and Ethan's empire was crumbling. Noah's face flashed in my mind, his quiet support, his rescue in the garage. Our talks over coffee and his shy smile built a trust I hadn't expected. The city's lights glowed outside, a reminder of the war I was winning. Emily's unraveling was complete, but Ethan's reckoning was next. I was no longer the broken wife. I was Ava Thompson, reborn, and New York would see my justice. The Upper East Side mansion, my family's ivy-draped sanctuary, was a fortress against the chaos I'd unleashed in New York City. I, Ava Thompson, sat in my childhood bedroom, the glow of my laptop illuminating the fallout of my revenge. Thanks to my strategic sale, Ethan Brooks's empire. Brooks Enterprises had crumbled, its shares acquired by Laura Mitchell's Titan Tech. Emily Harper, the socialite who'd stolen my husband, was a pariah, her ambition to escape her Ohio roots exposed by my recording of her pregnancy. Reborn with memories of my past life, Ethan's betrayal, his hands tearing my unborn child from me as I died, I was no longer the woman who'd begged for his love. The celestial whisper of justice that had greeted me in death fueled me, but my heart wavered, exhaustion battling the faint hope of healing. Ethan's reckoning was now at hand, and I was ready to face him one last time. The city buzzed with gossip from Soho lofts to Wall Street bars as Emily's downfall trended. #homewrecker Harper, #justice for Ava. Her tearful pleas on social media had failed to sway the public, my recording proving her lies. Ethan's desperate statement claiming they were estranged before our divorce had only deepened the outrage. I'd orchestrated this from my hospital bed, recovering from Emily's hired thug, her jealousy-driven attempt to silence me. Noah Carter, my ally, had saved me, and his quiet loyalty intrinsically contrasted with Ethan's cruelty. Our late-night talks, sharing coffee and dreams in the office, had built a trust I hadn't felt since my NYU days with Ethan. But this wasn't about Noah now, but about ending Ethan's delusions. He appeared at the mansion unannounced, his once pristine suit crumpled, his hair a disheveled mess. The man who'd ruled Manhattan's tech world looked broken, his hazel eyes bloodshot. "Ava," he said, his voice raw, "we need to talk." I stood in the foyer, my parents hovering nearby, their faces grim. "There's nothing left to say," I replied, my voice cold. He stepped closer, desperation radiating. "You've destroyed everything. My company." "Emily, why are you jealous?" His arrogance even now was laughable. I crossed my arms, my heart pounding with fury and pity. "Jealous? You think this is about wanting you back?" He grabbed my wrist, his grip tight but trembling. "Clear Emily's name, Ava. Say it was a misunderstanding, that you slandered her out of spite. I'll remarry you if you do." I yanked my hand free, my laughter sharp. "You're delusional, Ethan. You think I'd crawl back to the man who used me?" His face darkened, but I pressed on, my voice rising. "You cheated, lied, and nearly got me killed for her. And you think I want you?" I flung paparazzi photos at him, Emily in a director's car, her lips on another man's. "She played you, Ethan. That child might not even be yours." His hands shook as he picked up the photos, his face paling. "No," he stammered, "this can't be real." His perfect image of Emily, gentle, understanding, crumbled, and with it his composure. He dropped to his knees, tears streaming. "I was wrong, Ava. I was blind. Forgive me, please." His voice broke, a pathetic echo of the man who'd once ruled boardrooms. I'd have pitied him in my past life, my love closing my eyes to his cruelty. Now I felt only disgust. "You remember what you did?" I hissed, stepping closer, my fingers itching to grab his throat. "You strangled me, tore our child from my body. You killed me, Ethan." His eyes widened, shock draining his color. How do you know?" My rebirth was my secret, the celestial whisper my guide, but I let the truth hang between us. "I'll never forget," I said, my voice ice. "You're nothing to me now." He sobbed, slapping his own face, muttering I was stupid. "I loved you, Ava, I swear." His lies were desperate, a man clinging to a sinking ship. "Get out," I spat, "or I'll call the police." He stumbled to his feet, his gaze pleading, but I turned away, my heart cold. The city's lights glowed outside, a reminder of the world I was reshaping. Days later, news broke Ethan, driven mad by betrayal, had killed Emily in their Hamptons mansion, then turned the knife on himself. The headlines screamed, "Billionaires murder suicide shocks." NYC. The blood-stained scene, a knife discarded on the floor, mirrored the violence of my past life. I read the reports in my room, my heart steady. Ethan's desperation, Emily's ambition, they'd consumed each other. The public's outrage flooded social media, they deserved it. Ava's lucky she escaped. I felt no pity, only closure. The celestial whisper was silent now, its promise fulfilled. New York had delivered my justice, and I was free to face what came next. The Upper East Side mansion was quiet, and the city's hum was a soft backdrop to the new chapter unfolding within me. Ava Thompson, stood at my bedroom window, New York City's skyline, a tapestry of light and ambition. Ethan Brooks and Emily Harper were gone, their blood-stained end in the Hamptons, a grim echo of my past life's tragedy. Reborn with memories of Ethan's betrayal, his hands tearing my unborn child from me as I died. I dismantled their world, selling my shares to Titan Tech and exposing Emily's lies. The celestial whisper that had promised justice was silent now, its purpose fulfilled. Yet my heart was weary, the weight of vengeance tempered by a longing to heal, to rediscover the woman I'd been before Ethan broke me. The city buzzed with the aftermath. Tabloids screamed billionaire's tragic end, while social media hailed me as a survivor. Ava Thompson dodged a bullet, justice served. I'd orchestrated their downfall using Emily's recorded confession and my strategic sale to Laura Mitchell, whose Titan Tech now dominated Manhattan's tech scene. Emily's ambition, born from her Ohio roots, had driven her to steal my life, but her jealousy, hiring a thug to attack me, had been her undoing. Ethan's blindness and arrogance had led him to murder and suicide. I felt no sorrow, only a quiet satisfaction. New York had been my stage, and I'd played my part perfectly. Yet victory came at a cost. In my childhood bedroom, surrounded by faded NYU posters, I faced the toll of my hatred. I once loved Ethan and poured my soul into our dreams under the Brooklyn Bridge. That Ava was gone, buried in the pain of his betrayal. I'd rebuilt myself through vengeance, but now I wanted more to live for myself, not my ghosts. Noah Carter's face flashed in my mind, his quiet loyalty a beacon in my storm. He'd saved me in the garage, his arms steady as I bled. Our late-night talks, sharing coffee and dreams in the Brooks Enterprises break room, had built a bond I hadn't dared name. He was more than an ally. He was a possibility. Noah appeared at the mansion that evening, his lanky frame hesitant in the foyer, a bouquet of lilies in his hands. His glasses glinted under the chandelier, his dark eyes nervous but earnest. "Ava, can I take you to dinner?" he asked, his voice soft. I hesitated, my heart guarded after years of betrayal. "I'm not good at this," he admitted, stepping closer, his cheeks reddening. "But I know one thing, I like you. From the moment you believed in me, I felt something." His sincerity cracked my defenses, memories of our talks, his shy smile, his passion for code warming me. "I've been hurt, Noah," I said, my voice trembling. "Ethan broke me, and I've been consumed by hate." Tears welled unbidden as I faced the exhaustion within. "I'm tired of fighting." Noah's eyes softened, his hand brushing mine. "You don't have to fight anymore. Let me protect you, Ava. I won't let you hurt me again." His words, accurate and straightforward, pierced my heart. In my past life, I'd clung to Ethan's false love, blind to my worth. Now Noah saw me not the scorned wife, but the woman who'd risen from ashes. I nodded, stepping into his embrace, tears spilling as I let go of the past. Noah's startup soared days later, his innovative AI platform challenging Titan Tech's dominance. He offered me the role of chairwoman, but I laughed, shaking my head. "That's a death sentence, Noah, too much work." He grinned, insisting, and I relented, accepting vice president. I felt a shift as we stood in his new office overlooking the Hudson River. The city's lights glowed not with ambition, but with promise. I'd been reborn to right wrongs, but now I was free to live. Seeing my smile, my parents hugged me tightly, their pride a balm to my wounds. "You're enough, Ava," my mother whispered, and for the first time I believed her. I walked through Central Park with Noah, his hand in mine, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot. The city that had witnessed my pain now held my future. I'd dismantled Ethan's empire, exposed Emily's lies, but more importantly, I'd found myself. The celestial whisper was gone, but its gift remained, a chance to be Ava Thompson, not defined by betrayal, but strength and hope. As Noah squeezed my hand, his shy smile lighting the dusk, I knew I was ready for him, me and a new dawn in New York.